Hey guys, so welcome back again to the channel. My name is Pia. If you're new here, I was a flight attendant for over 10 years in the Middle East, and now I'm back here in the Philippines for good. So now we are on our way to the farm, which is just 1 hour from where we live, and normally it's always a rough road going to the farm, and finally we are here. It's a Saturday midday here. It's really very hot, and as usual, it is a working day for us. Our rest day here is only a Sunday. So yeah, when we are a business owner, we almost don't have any rest day, but of course, we're human beings, so we sometimes really need to also rest. So we make it a point that every Sunday we won't come here in the poultry. Instead, we are just gonna spend our time at home. So if you are a farm owner, especially if you have a poultry business, you have to be very mindful of your biosecurity. So here we don't really have so much access to water. So what we did in our poultry business is we have of course, our sanitation, and then we wash your hands like this only. So every time our staff would bring a pail of water here, and so that they can always wash their hands every time they access the poultry. So right now I'm checking all our sick chickens, so we do separate them right away once we find out that they are sick, and we do have like a hospital pen, and we separate them by batch because right now we do have approximately 1,400 chicken, and they all came by batch. So we first started our poultry business with only 480 heads, and then after 3 months we decided to expand to another 1,000 heads. So the land that we are using right now is not really ours because we just lease it for 10 years. But if you have to think about it, we already have a really good deal because we're paying it for about 3,000 pesos only per month for the entire 1.5 hectares. I've also seen comments like you should not be building anything on a piece of land that is not yours. And that is the reason why we are not putting any concrete building here, so that as you all can see, everything is made of light material but still weatherproof and stormproof. So today I'll be sharing with you how we put up this poultry business without any experience at all. So 6 months before we decided that we're gonna come back home for good, we were looking for any agricultural land just to have our own, farmland. But at first, it wasn't really our plan to put up a poultry business because initially we were supposed to be putting up only a bakery business. By the way, we are on our way back to the poultry building because we made some fly trap. That is because we saw an increase of flies in our area, so we really have to make sure that the population of the flies, because otherwise this can cause you some problems with your staff as well as with your chicken. So right now we place a mixture of water and molasses in a plastic bottle. And eventually the flies will go inside because they thought there's food in there, and then they get trapped. So let's go back to our story. So after searching for so many land and visiting areas, we couldn't really decide if we're going to buy the land because we have 3 criterias when it comes to having a farmland. So first of all, we are looking for the accessibility. And then the second thing would be electricity, and of course there should be access to water. And during our search, we couldn't really find anything good or that really matches our criteria, so we decided not to buy any land anymore. But then a few months before we are finally back home, my brother offered us this land which is 1.5 hectares, but unfortunately it is only for lease. At first we couldn't really decide if we would want to lease it because, we will be building so many structures. That was the plan in the beginning. But then I realized 10 years is actually a lot of years if you have to think about it. Would also like to apologize, guys, if you're hearing so much noises like a bark of the dog of our neighbor here because, I really couldn't stop him from barking. So I just have to continue my editing here. Right now, by the way, we are cleaning our eggs. Yes, we make sure that we are giving quality clean eggs to our customers. Not like what you see in the market where you find stained and dirty eggs. So after we finally decided that we're going to take this piece of land, that's when we start all the work. So this piece of land doesn't have any structure at all, not even a single tree except for the 3 coconut trees. I didn't realize there are so many things that you really have to consider when you are starting a poultry business. I thought I can just build a building and then put the chicken and that's all. But actually, I was really wrong because we really have to also make sure that our staff are able to live comfortably and as well as we have our storage for the feeds. But before we did that, we made sure that we already have a supplier for the RTL or the ready to lay chicken. The reason why we have to take the ready to lay chicken because we still don't have any idea on how to raise one. So at least it is a good start for us, and after 2 months we are already able to make an income. So after deciding that we're going to have 480 heads of layered chicken, the next thing that we have to do is to prepare their housing and their cages. So the housing of the ready-to-lay chickens has its own measurements. So you have to follow the standard measurement so that your chicken will not suffer and they can live comfortably inside their cages. The next thing that we decided to build is the farmhouse. Actually, it was done simultaneously since we didn't have enough time to build the structure. We have 2 groups of people doing the farmhouse at the same time the poultry housing. So it took us about 3 weeks before we were able to completely finish the structure, and after that the RTL came and then we started raising them. While we were building the house, we also made sure that we have a source of our electricity because of course our chicken also need them because they need to have at least 16 hours of lighting. So we do follow a lighting program for them to be able to produce eggs properly. Don't ever forget the water. It is as essential as having their feeds as well. So make sure before you start raising chicken or any kind of animal, you already have a source of water. So here right now, I am making sure that we are giving our customers the right sizes of their eggs. So here in the Philippines, we do practice weighing our eggs before selling them. So we make sure that they are the standard. So the sizes of the eggs are based on their weight and not by their sizes, if that makes sense. I know it's very confusing, but some of the eggs are big, but actually they weigh lesser than, the standards. So we base it as per the Department of Trade and Industry actually recommends. One thing as well is that you need to prepare at least 2 months of the feeding consumption of your chicken because you will only be able to pay for their feeds once they start the production at its peak or at least at the 22nd week. And normally the ready-to-lay chicken are being sold at 16th or 17th week. But this is what we were told by the vet from the seminar that we attended. They said that never ever buy an RTL that is already on its 17th week because they will still have to adjust for at least 2 weeks before they start laying eggs. So technically, we were also tricked by our suppliers that they're saying that it's 17th week, but actually, we are also compromising the health of our chicken. But anyway, it had already passed and we learned from our mistakes. Just to give you an idea, the price of the ready-to-lay chicken here in our area is 470 pesos each. So you just have to multiply that by the number of chickens that you won't want to get, and that will be your total. And that doesn't even include other expenses yet. That expensive. Also, the one thing that we forgot to build during the process here was having our own stock room. What I mean by that is we need to have a stock room for our feeds. Since we need to store our feeds for about 2 weeks. Once you have all these things up, I guess you are ready to operate your poultry business. By the way, when it comes to electricity, I'm so glad that my husband actually has an idea on how to put up a solar panel. So I would say our farm is a bit sustainable because we don't depend on electricity from the government. Instead, we have our own solar panel. Now, the most challenging part here is getting your customers. So how would you introduce your products to the market? And I truly admit we did not do any market research here, and I would say we were just so lucky because our province actually needs so much of eggs at this point of time. That pushed us to expand our business after 3 months. So in the beginning, we were so scared on how to market our products because again, we were so new. But I guess you learn it from experience. I was also really glad because my brother has so many connections and that one of his friends actually was a middleman and he was the one taking all our eggs and sell it to the market. So technically, you don't have to do anything but just deliver the eggs to them. But the problem came when the school classes got suspended during summertime because of a very high temperature. So it was on and off, and so the market actually went down and most of our eggs were not sold. And our middleman was already complaining that our prices were really high. That's when we realized that there were so many supplies of eggs in the market and there were only a few that were consuming it. You can actually check it on my other vlogs because I actually documented it, and I'm really glad that I did that because that's one of the greatest lessons from that experience. And because of that, we were able to look for our own customers and remove the middleman. So I get to realize that with this kind of business, you actually have to just time it. So when the school classes are open, that's when the prices goes up. And when it's summer break, that's when the prices of the eggs goes down, and that you just have to deal with it. But the good thing about having this kind of business is that it will never go out of trend because people need to eat. And I'm so glad that after a year in this business, we are finally expanding. And at this time, we are going to start from the day-old chicks or day-old pullets and start raising them until they reach their maturity and start laying eggs. So that would be it for now, guys. I hope you have enjoyed my short vlog for today. And I hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.